There we are, and we are live. Hello to everyone who's joined us this afternoon, and to my great guests who's taking a lot of her time in spite of the time difference to join me on this program. And it's lovely to see everyone again. We've been away for a little while, but we're back, bigger and stronger. And just to remind you, my name is Pay Bentu, and I am the host of PayTalks. And we're coming your way today with another very interesting topic. And hey, I've got a phenomenal guest with me today, and I would like to welcome Dr. Madlena Kantscheff. Hello, Madlena. It's really a big privilege to have you on PayTalks today. Tell me, first of all, tell us all about yourself.
Thank you for having me. This is my great pleasure to be here because I know what an impact your message has on so many people. So I'm happy to support you in spreading the message, and mostly spreading the messages of hope, of the energy of thriving, where there is so much fear and uncertainty in the world. What people desire mostly right now is a positive message which gives them the hope and the message of love, of unconditional love. So I'm originally from Bulgaria, finished my education in the area of dentistry, and 1986 moved to Germany, had to learn the German language. This is where the time difference comes in, because Germany is 1 hour ahead of London time. So I had to learn the German language to go through recognition exams for my dental education. So that 1991, I was blessed to open my dental practice in Bavaria. Worked there for 20 years. And during this time, I realized that being a dentist is only a very small angle of serving the well-being of my patients, of the people who came to become my clients, my patient at my dental practice. And for this 20 years, I'm very proud and very blessed to say that I've seen more than 20,000 patients. Wow. Which of course gave me this experience, because people come to a dentist with this hesitancy, right? What is going to expect me? Is it going to be painful, and so on? So this is not the greatest pleasure to go to a dental office, right? You go there, but even a patient told me, when I'm sitting on your chair, I have the feeling that you can do with me whatever you want, and I cannot defend myself, which of course is not true, because every dentist, I dare to say that, has the best intention in mind toward every patient. And I had a lot of young people, a lot of children. So if you're not coming from a place of servant heart, if you're not coming from a place of love, loving what you do and loving the people who come to you, then why are you doing it?
Right, I've got to ask you this. How difficult was it for you to learn German to start with?
do you want an honest answer?
Yes, well, because I know, yes, German to be a very difficult language.
It
so
is. It is. I'm going to talk in pictures, because it's easier to understand that. I understand very much when people talk to me when someone paints a picture. So in Bulgaria, in the 3rd grade, we were invited to learn Russian. So we are fluent in Russian, which is a great privilege. It helped me very much in Germany. Then in the 5th grade, I realized, with my understanding back then, and I know that God, higher power, guided me back then, I understood that the world is not talking Bulgarian, the world is not talking Russian, a part of 300 million people who still talk Russian, certainly. The world is talking English. So I started deliberately taking private lessons in English. In English, I'm telling you this so that you can see the difference. For me, English was like, I was like a sponge. I could learn 20, of course, related to each other, 20 words within a couple of hours. I was just open for this English language, and it was so easy flowing and so on. So as I moved to Germany, I was privileged, by the way, to learn German at the University of Regensburg for 8 months, absolutely for free, with no fee. I have to say that.
Well, being very difficult to learn, they've got to give it for free.
Well, they don't have to. They don't have to, because I came to Germany as a guest, so they don't owe me anything. So I felt very privileged back then, and I'm very grateful today. So we learned German as a foreign language for 8 hours per day.
Wow.
On a very high level. And here is the picture which I want to paint. Is I felt like this language and this structure of the language, which, by the way, it's very logical and a very very structured, organized one. This is the character of the German society. So I had the feeling that something is in my throat, and so I cannot swallow it. English was a sponge, and German was something not being able to swallow it until, and I have to say that for people who want to learn German, until you get the principles of this language. There's a structure. Once you get it, then you learn it. But you have to be very determined and get to the point where you get it. Because in the German language, there is a masculine, feminine, neutral, singular, and plural.
See what I'm talking about? How difficult it is?
Yes. So if you have glasses, well, in English, it will be the glasses, right? In German, you have to know by heart, is it masculine, feminine, neutral?
Right. Okay.
And
I think
there is no
there, because I'm already getting confused.
Well, but it's doable. Many people have done it. So even after 35 years spending in Germany, feeling very much at home here, I love the character of this people. I love their way of being disciplined, punctual, organized. This well-oiled machine in Germany. I highly admire these people. Even today, I will ask my children, what is this? Is it masculine, feminine, neutral? And they will tell me,
just very quickly again, just very quickly again, the 20 odd patients that you saw in your dental career, did you deal with them mostly in German?
Yes, but not only because this privilege which I had to speak fluently Russian opened the doors for me, because 1993, 94, there was a huge wave of Russian people who had German ancestors. Some of them came back home in a second and third generation because of the Second War. They had to go back to Russia, and from Russia to Kazakhstan, and so on. There is a long story. We don't have to go into that. But there were 3.5 million people who were allowed to come back home to their ancestors. So as these people came, they had originally German roots, but because of the historical circumstances, they spoke only Russian. And as they arrived and heard that there is a dental practice where Russian is spoken, then they, of course, came to us. So to answer your question, I had at least 10% of my patients who spoke solely Russian, at least at the beginning, the year 93, 94, 95, until they learned German themselves. So, and of course, my mother tongue, all 4 languages, Bulgarian, Russian, German, and English. So it was an international dental practice, which is, of course, a great way to serve people, right? To speak their own language, so that they can express themselves, so that they can feel very comfortable.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole idea of globalization, isn't it? Making everyone feel at home wherever they are in the world. Oh, that is amazing. Madlena, you and I are talking about a very sensitive and very timely topic as well today, and that is how to thrive through challenging times. And, in the midst of that discussion, I think we're going to come back to your career again, because we'd really like to know how you moved from being a dentist to being a well-being coach.
I will tell you.
After so many years, yeah. So we will come to that. But I'm thinking around the pandemic, and all the things that have happened so far. We've been in lockdown, global lockdown, all across the world at different times in different countries.
Yeah.
And I think for us in the UK, I don't know for you in Germany, but for us in the UK, it must have been like 18 odd months or thereabout. It was about 15 to 16 months before we began to come out of lockdown. And so those months have been very challenging. And on top of that, there's been the pandemic. And so many people, have had their mental health and well-being challenged in so many different ways. How do we begin to heal from the pandemic as individuals and as humanity holistically?
This is a question we could talk until tonight, but I will try to be very concise. I have found out for myself that first of all, individually and together, we human beings, we are tired of the energy of surviving, right? We're done with this.
Yeah.
We want to thrive individually and as a humanity. So we are striving for this high vibrational energy of thriving. So every change, this is what I have found out for myself, is every change, when you feel in your heart, I'm done with this, I want to experience something different. Every change starts with a conscious decision. I decide here, right now, that I'm going to change my life, my business. And to answer your question, I'm going to move from the energy of surviving into the energy of thriving. And this is the power of this moment when you make this decision. You can make this decision. For example, for me, it's very powerful. I love to hear my own voice, which means I really speak it out loud so that every cell of my body, of my being, hears that. I make this decision right here, right now, to be done with the energy of survivorship. And even if I don't know how that's going to happen in a concrete manner, I decide to move in direction thriving. This decision can be made, as I said, out loud with words, can be written down, can be journaled, can be shared with people we love, with family members, with business partners, with peers, with mastermind members, whoever is your support team. Then declare it.
What about people who live on their own?
Well, in nowadays world, people who live on their own, they have to do it on their own. But in a nowadays world, just like you are in Wales and I am in Cologne, Germany, and we are sitting opposite to each other and have this privilege to use technology, to have it at our disposal so that we can communicate with people from all over the world. So if I am not opening myself for the power of technology, then I'm cutting off myself of a great opportunity to have virtual support team. And this is all coming down to building relationships. So at any age, I can have a support team. And I'm not talking about having 100 people. Sometimes it's enough to have one, even two people who you trust. And again, at any age. So I have so many role models, men and women who are 80, 90, 92, who are active, who are vital, and so on. So I personally don't feel in my heart that age, as biological age, can stop you from making this decision and executing it. It's up to you. No one's going to come and knock on your door and say, oh, Patience, Madlena, do you want to change your life? It has to come from within. And it starts with being observer of your life, observing the last 18 months and asking yourself, okay, this had been challenging months for everyone, individually and together. However, what are the lessons? What are the lessons there? And one of the lessons which I had to learn for myself is there was a huge invitation to get back to the basics. And what are the basics? We are all human beings. We all desire to be seen, to be heard, to be acknowledged, to be praised, and at the end of the day, to be loved. And this is the foundation for the communication, either in person or virtually. If love is not the driving force of everything what I do, then why am I a human being? This is what makes me a human being, my emotions being part of this unconditional love. And I'm not talking only about romantic love between a man and a woman, man and man, woman and woman, depending on the social orientation and so on. I'm not talking only about the love between a mother and her children and so on. I'm talking about the love which comes from a higher power, from God, and it's present, omnipresent everywhere. So when you ask me if, what drives me every morning to get out of bed and to do what I do, then I've asked myself this question many times. What is the driving force, the source of what I'm doing? And I have the answer: love. I love people. Starting with myself. I'm not ignoring myself. I'm filling my cup with self-love so that it overflows and so that I can give you and the others from a place of overflowing cup. Where do I get this love from? From higher power, from God, from universe, whatever word you use for that. So back to your question, people who are on their own, they have all opportunities to build their social network in their speed, in their unique manner. It is a decision to become a social human being. And it's a decision to stay lonely. I can be alone, but I don't have to be lonely.
Yeah, I see the difference in that. But, you know, I still have very deep concern for people who are alone and lonely and who find it very difficult to build that sort of connection with the outside world, outside of what they live, where they live, because they are digitally excluded. There's so many people in our different societies who either don't have a device, a mobile device, or a laptop, or who probably even do have a device, you know, a laptop or a tablet, but do not know how to use it, or, you know, how to even begin to access the kind of connections that they need to heal, you know, from very challenging times. What kind of support can we give these people?
Well, first of all, we have to know that these people are there, right? Even if they live in a part of a country, of a village where there is not this access to this electronic devices, then the only way to create support system is in person. So this person still has to find a way to let the village, to let the city hear about them. They have to, at least to be brave enough to get out of their house and say, here I am, I'm alone, I'm lonely, and I desire help. This is the first step. The first step, it's always you. This is what I tell people when I work with them. I'm a firm believer in God, in divine, and higher power. So this is what I tell people. Take the first small step toward God, toward divine, and divine is going to run toward you. But the first step has to come from you.
There's
and I'm not saying that
acceptance, is it? There's got to be that acceptance.
I'm not saying it's easy. But you have to come out of your box, of your comfort zone. We all have done it, and ask for help. And people love to help. I've never heard in my life someone will refuse to help me. Never, ever.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. You know, it's very rare that people reject help. And I totally agree with you that the first step is, you know, that acceptance that you do need help. I think, as they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved.
Exactly.
As you would know. And, you know, in your work as well, you talk about seeing the world and our individual lives with the eyes of truth. And I'm very drawn to that. Can you elaborate on that? And, you know, how do you relate that truth that you talk about to our well-being?
Well, there are many facets of the truth, but let's take one so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. So I'm a big fan of the hierarchy pyramid of Maslow, right? Where he talks about the fundamental needs of housing, clothes, food, and beverage. And after these basic needs are met, then we climb this pyramid of belonging to small and big community, to self-actualization and self-realization. So what is the truth? The truth is that at the end of the day, we are all social beings, right? That the greatest punishment, forbid God, which you can give to a human being is to isolate this person from the other human beings. We are created to belong. The sense for belonging is here. It's a part of our nature. So the truth is, this is the second lesson which Corona taught us, is more than ever, we are invited by life, by the circumstances, by these challenging times to realize how important it is for us, just like the air we breathe, to belong, to have the sense of belonging. Someone wants to know where I am, how I am doing authentically. Someone cares about me. Someone calls me. Today I was at a networking event and a lady said they have already sold out the Christmas cards because people care. They already ordered the Christmas cards and they are not going just to send the Christmas cards blank. They're going to sit down and write with their hands, "Dear patients, Happy Christmas. May this and this come true for you. I'm thinking of you. I'm sending you much love, many blessings. You, your son, your family, your business, and so on." This is where hearts are touched because we care. This is a part of the truth. We care. We authentically care. Why are we talking today? Why are you organizing this show? Because you care, don't you?
Yeah.
And you want to spread this message so that as many people as possible in the middle of this post-corona times receive this message of hope, of determination. Yes, there is a way. And there are people who care about you authentically with no hidden agenda. They're just here for you because they care and they're coming from a place of love, unconditional love. This is what I always say: nothing and no one can withstand love. Nothing and no one.
Very true. And I think, am I right to agree with you that I think love, you know, and care that you talk about are some of the very key elements that we need in not just progressing, but maintaining our well-being.
Yep. 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 Because well-being is a lifestyle. Let's touch on that a little bit, because society tends to think of, and there's no judgment here, many people, even coming from a scientific perspective and scientific area, they think that well-being is wellness. Yes, it is, but well-being is a lifestyle. This is how I live my life. I have physical well-being, I have emotional well-being, I have mental well-being, spiritual well-being, I have a social relational well-being. How are my relationships with others and with myself? And of course, I have financial well-being. So, and as complex as it may sound, I always tell people, start with one area of your well-being. One, which feels the most challenging one. Let's say my relationships are a mess. Let's call it this way. So start with your relationships and start with one relationship. Usually the relationship with yourself. What is the self-talk? How do you talk to yourself? Observe your thoughts today. So you're thinking today 50,000 thoughts in average. So they have counted the thoughts. So we are thinking around 50,000 thoughts. So you don't have to count them, but observe yourself for half an hour. What is the self-talk you have with yourself? Do you tell yourself, bravo, Madlena, you did a great job today? Or are you thinking, oh my goodness, what I've done 10 years ago, that was a shame. I'm still ashamed, and so on. So is that the self-talk which is so empowering? Not really, because you cannot change anything what happened 10 years ago. And I'm not proud of everything what I've done, I've said, I've felt, but to dwell on this energy of regret, of shame, of guilt doesn't help me. I have to be very observant and remind myself softly and lovingly, go back to a place of love. Self-love. And practice it also. I wake up every morning and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to reward myself tonight after this beautiful day I have been blessed to experience? So whatever that is, I'm going out for dinner with a good friend, with a family member, with a person I love. Am I having a nice walk? Whatever. Am I going out for a movie? Am I reading my favorite book? Am I going out in the park for a walk or at the lake? Whatever your desire is. You already know in the morning how you're going to reward yourself in the evening, and your soul is already singing for joy.
Oh, I'm loving every moment of this. And you've kind of taken us into the next question that I was going to ask about the different strands of well-being, and I know you've touched on a bit of them, and the social well-being, the physical well-being, the financial well-being, which is very important to many of us, and I love the way you've said, begin with one. Because obviously you can't dwell on too many things at the same time, isn't it? And as they say, a long journey begins with one step. So it's one step at a time. Take the next one. So why is it important for us to thrive through these challenging times? And how do people begin to understand which of the strands, because a lot of people get confused about what is the most important to them, and this is where prioritizing comes in, but still oftentimes it's almost like a hit and miss. What do I prioritize first in my life? What's most important to me? How do I begin to deal with that? But then why is that very important to us thriving through challenging times?
Well,
how do we weave? How do we weave these various strands into, helping us to thrive?
Well, when I have a conversation with a person for the first time, virtually or in person, I'm asking always the one question, and they usually know to 99%. What is the biggest challenge right now in your life? And they know it. And I don't let them think a lot. They know it. If the answer comes instantly, then you are answering from your heart. You don't let your mind think a long time about that. Let's say 5 minutes. So I tell people, please give me the answer spontaneously. Within 30 seconds. What's the biggest challenge in your life right now? And they know it. They feel it. They know it. This divine part in a human being knows it. The guts, the heart, they know it. So, and I help them even when I have a one-on-one call, a consultation, a free one, then I ask them, what is the biggest challenge in your life, so that they can prepare themselves. But ideally, the spontaneous, I know that if I'm asking you right now, we're not going to get private here, but if I ask you right now, what is the biggest challenge in your life? You know the answer. Right? One, so. Please, one. We can have 5 challenges, take one. And I'm going to give you a hint. Science has proven that all diseases, the opposite of ease is disease, illness, to 99%, including accidents with a car, with a bicycle, and so on, are caused by non-balanced emotions. And this is where we are talking about psychosomatic. Soma is body, psyche is your emotions. So when your emotions are not balanced, your body is manifesting it. There are certain rules. I'm going to give you an example. So if you have pain in your lower back, and your general practitioner makes an X-ray and all this lab test and so on, and he or she doesn't find anything. There is no reason to have a low back pain. You're a young and dynamic, vital human being, a woman or a man. Where is this low back pain coming from? One of the reasons, please don't generalize it now. So don't think that this is the only one. I'm just giving you an invitation to think of one of the reasons, especially for the people who are watching this conversation between us and listening to it. One of the reasons could be you feel unsupported by life. I've been there, and I reflected upon that. I did work on that, and the low back pain disappeared with no painkillers. Other example, people have a problem with their pancreas. This is this part of the digestive system, which is responsible for the production of insulin. And this is this hormone which deals with the blood sugar, right? So people who tend to have problems with the pancreas, these are people who have disconnected themselves from the sweetness of life. They don't spoil themselves with, I'm going to do this for me today. I'm going to do that for myself tomorrow. So when you ask these people, so how often do you do things for yourself? How often do you spoil yourself? Then you get to 99% the answers, oh, I don't deserve it, or the needs of the others are more important to me, and so on. So to give you an answer, ideally we start with the emotional part of our well-being. Because once we achieve a certain balance there, the beauty is, because all these parts of the well-being are so connected with each other, that as soon as we have put some order and balance in one area of this well-being, every other aspect of well-being, just like a domino, gets better. Yeah. So start with one. Why do we start with one? Because laser focus is very powerful. Focus on one thing, laser focus, and this is very powerful. Put your power, your energy on one thing. Put everything else aside. The time will come to deal with that. Maybe you don't have to deal with that because it resolves itself automatically. Why it is important to thrive in challenging times? Because this is a high vibrational energy. I personally had to deal with cancer in 1998. I'm just going to mention that briefly. And so I was very blessed to get healed and so on 23 years ago. And I never had this connection to this expression, I'm a cancer survivor. Yes, I survived cancer, but let's get out of this being a cancer survivor. Let's build a new life. Let's thrive.
Well, I guess what do you think about the people who stay in that, you know, state of mind of being, say, for instance, cancer survivors, but they're very intentional with what they're doing. They want to carry on with talking about their experiences so that they can help people along the way, people who get into the same challenge.
Well, this is a decision for me personally. There is a stage you embark on a cancer journey with a diagnosis, right? You're diagnosed, forbid God, with cancer, right? Then you go through this roller coaster of treatment and so on. And at some point, thank God, out of 10 people who are diagnosed with cancer, 8 make it. Thank God. And I wish everyone that 10 out of 10 make it. So at some point, these 8 people, they hear the message, you are healed. So in this moment, you have survived cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was the lesson, what I've learned from my cancer journey? Cancer had been my greatest teacher. Cancer happened in my life because I have disconnected myself from my soul. My soul was talking to me and I was not listening. And we have a saying in Germany, if you don't want to listen, you have to feel. The pain of a body, forbid God, which is suffering, where there is dis-ease. It's not at ease, it's on a level of dis-ease. So what is cancer teaching me? The way you have lived your life, Madlena, it's not going to work.
It needs to change.
You have to change it and you have to radically change it. Of course, not overnight, but you make the decision. Okay, thank you. I survived cancer. I'm going to start a new life, one step in a time. And to stay on the level, energetical level of survivorship does not feel right to me for starting a new life. The energy has to be different. It has to be uplifted. It has to be something I don't know yet. I'm building from new. I'm building the house for my new life. Am I taking the old parts of the old house of my life? Not really. Not really.
Yeah, so, I get exactly what you mean now, you know, so that change is actually a change from where you were at the time you had that challenge and turning that around to create a new lifestyle for yourself.
And this is exactly what we're invited to now as a society. We had an old status quo, the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. Now we're approaching the end of 2021. Let's build from new, but this time together.
Yeah,
together.
Very true. Very true. Very profound as well. I'm just curious, before, you know, time, you know, does what it has to do against us, because it doesn't wait for anyone, does it?
Yes, I know.
What was it that motivated you to go from all those many years of such a thriving career as a dentist, and then, you know, suddenly giving it all up to be the coach that you are today? And I must admit, you're a very brilliant one too. But what was it, you know, that motivated you to do that or take that?
Well, you know, every evening we will sit together with my team members. We'll have a glass of wine every day in the evening, and we will talk. How was the day? What can we do differently? What can we do better? What worked? What didn't work? And there was always one question. What we do today, was that dentistry? Was that pure dentistry? I'm going to give you one example so that you know what we're talking about. A gentleman came to me in the morning, the first patient, for an annual examination with no complaints, nothing at all. He sat down on the dental chair and I said, "Good morning. Good morning, Richard. How are you doing today?" And I authentically wanted to hear. Was not just asking because it's a nice, polite way to start the conversation. He got very quiet and then he said, "The house is empty." I didn't say a word. He said, "You know, when both girls leave the house for study, especially in a different city, the house feels so empty." And he started talking for a while. So after 10 minutes, I told him, "Richard, I'm really sorry, but I have dedicated 15 to 20 minutes for our annual examination. And we have 80% of the time already gone, right? So let me at least have this examination." He said, "No, I'm going home. I feel much, much better." So this was definitely not a dental treatment, right?
Yeah.
And it happened many times per day. People felt so much, I call it in a sacred, safe space, sitting in a dental chair that they shared from their hearts. So this happened for many days, many months, and many years. And at some point you start asking yourself, is that the best way to serve people? And this is the moment of truth. A friend of mine came to me and she just spent the day with us, just observe us, what we are doing, how we are doing. She's not a dentist, just a friend of mine. And at the end of the day, she said something which I will never forget in my life. "Madlena, people come to you not to get the holes in their teeth fixed, but the holes in their lives." And then I sat down and I asked myself, what else do you need to realize that serving the well-being of 20,000 people, which is a privilege, responsibility, and a blessing, as a dentist, serving them, it's only a small part of the way you can serve them. It has to change. And of course, it didn't happen overnight. You don't go out and say, "I'm selling the dental practice. I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that." This is a process, but it starts with a decision. Okay, 20 years, and I worked before that 5 years. So 25 years altogether feels very right to me to expand the way you serve people. Building on your medical background, having all this theoretical and knowledge and practical experience. And from there, expand your knowledge and start serving from a place of a holistic perspective where well-being is a lifestyle. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense, honestly. And as you're saying it, I'm just imagining that thing of moving away from years of just taking care of people's teeth, which is not a bad thing in itself, but, you know, to making it holistic, taking care of their entire being, you know, their senses, their mental state of mind, and everything, which is a broader way of impacting on the people that you have met. And that is such an awesome thing to do, you know. But just before we go, on top of everything that you said in this conversation, are there any more tips that you would like to give, you know, those who are watching and those who will be watching? Because I mean, this is live now. It's going to be there for the next 20 years. People will always come back to this program. What other tips do you have on thriving through challenging times? Perhaps it could be from the way that you have thrived through your own challenges. I don't know.
I personally have been blessed to go, let me just say it for 30 seconds. I was born and grew up in Bulgaria, and it used to be a communist country where going to church and connecting to God was forbidden by law. And back then I felt irritated, but today I'm very grateful because I built my connection with God, with divine, with higher power in my own way. So I can talk to God here. I can talk to God when I'm washing my dishes. I can talk to God at any time. So to go back to what you were asking me, every time I found myself going through the valley of death, so to say, then I always turned to God for guidance, support, and I always found it. And of course, there were countless earth angels, people who came to support me on behalf of higher power of God. And this support, which I have experienced coming from strangers, from people I've never met, this is what gets me out of bed every single day, because I can be one of these earth angels for other people as well, giving back what I have received as a support. And once again, I will not get tired to say that love is the answer to every challenge, especially during these times now with Corona, and love for everyone.
And love doesn't have any, it's bottomless, isn't it? We always have, there's always an overflow of love to give to people.
Yeah. No matter how old they are, no matter what skin color they have, no matter what language way they speak, the language of love is universal. We can speak, let's say you're speaking with me Chinese and I'm speaking German. I guarantee you we will find a way to communicate as long as we're coming from a place of love. We will.
Yeah.
Because we will not understand the meaning of the words, but we will feel the emotion. This lady has the best intentions, and I receive this gift of love. This is also important to keep your heart widely open to receive this gift of love. Because it doesn't help you when I bring you a gift and you don't open it. Please open it. Open your heart to receive the gift of love. Then it becomes reciprocal, it becomes mutual.
Yeah.
Because when I approach you with love, the only answer is love.
And I think there's nothing that the world needs right now through these challenging times than love, really. It's I mean, we saw a lot of it when we were in lockdown, you know, neighbors showing their neighbors love, communities coming together and helping and supporting each other to just thrive. And it was all from a place of love.
Definitely. And let's continue. Now we don't have these lockdowns, thank God. Things are changing and we are now in post-Corona times. So let's continue supporting each other and thriving together, only together.
I think I'm going to end the show on that note, only because I feel that if we add anything else, that message will be lost. And I think this last sentence of yours is the most important message that we need everyone to take away from this conversation today. So, Dr. Madlena Kantscheff, you are such an awesome woman. Thank you for your very encouraging words, and especially on the advice that you've given people, you know, on how to thrive. And I have, you know, taken so much down from what you said, which I definitely will be applying to my own life. And it will help me, you know, thrive through my challenging times, because the truth is we all have, or we're all facing one sort of challenge or the other from the strands that we've looked at, from emotional well-being, either our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, our financial well-being, and so on. So thank you so very much for coming on the show today. And it was, again, such a pleasure to have you. And thanks to everyone who has watched us live and who will be watching in the future. Until the next conversation on the next very important topic, I am PayBentu signing off for PayTalks.